in flore.
First of all, thank you so much. I'm sure you know that we're honored to have you here to talk with us. I just have a few questions about Cockney in general and how you managed it in the show, about the show a little bit, and then about you, if that's okay. Okay?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you, before the show started, were you familiar with the Cockney accent or dialect? Or was there something you had to learn, or did it come naturally?
No, it's something I've done a lot of work in theatre before I started on television, and played a lot of characters in what we called repertory theatre. So you're doing a different play every week. We started, so you had to learn a lot. I always had a facility for mimicry. It was a fascination for me as a kid. I would copy. It fascinated me, accents. There's so many different accents in England, and Cockney was just one of them. And I would talk, so do it from the word go, really, because I would copy it. So I didn't have to learn anything, really. And when it came to television, I played a lot of villains, a lot of criminal characters because of this awful face I had. But the comedy was never far away. And a lot of policemen too.
Always something like that should happen.
Yes. But I played a lot of policemen, so I knew how they spoke.
Good. Yeah. So when you first saw the script, you didn't think to yourself, oh my, I had to practice this. You said, oh, no, I can do this.
No, it was a complete coincidence, really, because I'd done a policeman part on John Sullivan, the writer's first hit series called Citizen Smith. And I played so many policemen, I thought, what can I do that's a bit different? And I remembered a character in a local pub where I lived in London who spoke like this, with this sort of voice. A very pedantic way of talking about things. It was a very superior sort of attitude. And I always remembered him. And so I invested this policeman with that voice, or something. And the writer came up to me afterwards and said, he said, I really like that. He said, I'm going to use that again. Yeah. It was just a happy accident. And a year later, we started Only Fools and Horses, and this time it was a second-hand car salesman. So it had to change slightly. But it retained that sort of, that was the key to the character, and that's what he liked. And it worked very well because Del Boy being aspirational, he sort of represented where Del Boy wanted to be, which was slightly superior, because he was always talking about Del Boy had no class, and it's just he always felt superior to him. So that dynamic worked very well. Plus the fact that I'm 6 foot tall and David's only about 5'6" or something, so he's constantly like this, and so that worked very well physically. But no, the voices, as I say, came from that character in the pub.
Right, is that what you, on the show with Ivan Ivanovic, you mentioned one thing, you said all actors are thieves. Is that what you meant? And
Yeah.
How did you steal from
in an affectionate way, yes.
Yeah.
You tend to look for people's characteristics and
Around you.
Yeah.
You don't make up things.
No. You see what, like that, the guy's voice, his attitude, So that's something you remember. You're not aware of remembering it, but you store it away. And if you come to invent a character, you think, what can I do? What do I remember? Oh, yes, I remember. It's the same as somebody telling you about they've had a terrible experience, what it meant to them, how they felt. And you arrive at a script where your character has a similar problem, a similar thing going for them. You remember what they said, you remember how it felt. Or maybe it's happened to you, so you remember that, you remember people's attitude towards you. And it's all those things, instinctively, you sort of pile in and they pop up out of your head.
as you go. As you go, I guess.
Yes, but I mean, it's an affectionate way of saying it.
Yeah.
But we filch bits from people. Like the laugh came from a woman, actually. In the same pub, strangely. And she was always on her own, and I think she was not too well in the head. She'd sit there, she'd not talk to anybody, but occasionally she would go like this. People would come to the pub especially to hear this woman. And they drink their pints, so they've heard it now, so they're gone. And again, I just did it one day because I remembered it, and everybody laughed at it. And they said, "Keep it in." So that's how that happened.
Yeah, but it's special about you. You can sort of catch on these things. Like, I think I could actually use this. Like, did you think that, or was it just really spontaneous? The laugh, or did you come up with it? Oh, I could use this.
No, I never thought I could use it. I just, as I say, things just pop out.
Yeah.
And it was my version of it. And you ever wish you hadn't started something? I'm asked to do it all the time. Well, today I was asked to do it several times. But it's entertainment. People love it. But it caught on, and so it's my own fault. I cannot blame anybody else, except this woman. I love it like that.
Yeah. And what is the attitude, because we don't know here, what is the attitude of Londoners today towards Cockney? Like, is it still a thing? Or because, London has been changing, it's a huge city, like, is it still a thing?
It's still there. It's still a great pride among Cockneys, that were born, they had to be born within the sound of Bow Bells, which is a famous church at the East End. And if you could hear the bells when you were born, then you were a true Cockney. If you're born outside there, you're not a true Cockney. As I said today, they have their own language, this rhyming slang, which was...
So they still use it?
Oh, yes, very much, yeah.
Is it looked down upon?
No, it's viewed with amusement. I mean, it's a bit of colour. It's they had their own king and queen, and it's covered in sequins and pearls, and they dress up, once a year during the mayor's, the mayor's celebration. And he has a cap, and it's a black cap, but it's studded with pearls, and his wife comes out, and she has this fantastic dress on, covered, and they parade up and down everyone goes, pearly king and queen.
Do you get invited to these sorts of events because of the connection?
No, I haven't been invited, but anybody can go. It's a public, But I think there's some special celebration they have in the Lord Mayor's offices, with the pearly king and queen will be the guests of honour, and so it's a very London-centric thing. But you're right, London is changing so much now. I don't recognise it at all. I mean, the buildings are still there, but it's just such a different city. We left London about 20 years ago, and it is amazing. I mean, it's the aggression and
the hecticness, right?
Yeah, and the people. I mean, it's very much parts of it like a foreign country, to us.
It's actually so nice to hear this from you because, us being linguists and so many vernaculars and languages dying out because, the minority of languages are dominant. And this is really nice to have this community of people, and they have no issue of preserving their own languages, which is really nice. Really nice.
Yeah. No, and the writer John Sullivan picked up on that, and he was actually an Irishman. He was born in Ireland, but grew up in South London. And he was a man of the people, and he would listen. He would go to the pub, and he would hear all these things and pick them up and store them again, and then write them down. And that's how the series was born, really. And the interesting thing, of course, was not only is there that, there's also the fact that the Boy speaks sort of fractured French the whole time, You say goodbye to people, and you say bonjour. You say hello to people, you say au revoir. He gets it wrong the whole time.
Opposite.
But again, it's something John picked up on. Because there was somebody he knew who always was pretending they knew French and always getting it wrong. So he extended it and it became a running joke. But as I say, the whole language is fascinating.
Yeah, it's really unique. Okay, now I wanted to ask you a few things about you as a human being, because I'm sure everybody asks you all about you as Bojsi, right? Although I'm sure you enjoyed you being Bojsi, but I wanted to ask you, now, what do you do? What makes you happy? What do you enjoy doing now?
What do I enjoy doing now? Well, we moved down to London, as I say, 20 years ago, and something we'd wanted to do was to look after an historic building, both fascinated by history, and amazingly we found this place which my wife had a family connection to, going right back to the dissolution of the monasteries, and she had no idea it was there. We found ourselves there by accident, and it just was an extraordinary moment. When we found this family connection, we thought, because it was much too big, it's much too far away. I mean, it had a lot going for it. The countryside was superb around the Welsh borders there, and there was the right amount of space, because the other thing we wanted to do was create a garden. We'd seen so many gardens, so many historic houses, we wanted to do something similar. But it's too big, I mean, we can't manage this, But having found this family connection, so you've got to, there's a reason you're there. So that's our life, changed our lives, really. And the extraordinary thing was, of course, because of that move, inspired by that move, that's how the Green Grass, the spin-off, happened. Because the writer came down and he saw me out of context, and he went,
and then he realized, oops, we can actually...
What would happen if the character did the same? So it was lucky we moved from that point of view. And we had 4 or 5 terrific years filming that show around where we lived. It was all shot around. So if we hadn't moved, you could say that would never have happened. But the gardening is... I hope it's not too cold for my garden. My greenhouse is my
baby, right?
It's difficult being away, from those point of view. But I'm a great sports fan, so I'm watching my team playing football. I'm trying to. Not playing very well at the moment, but England are doing very well at cricket. I love my cricket. I've just been in South Africa doing very well. So that's important, sport, for some reason.
And I know you enjoy travelling. Do you still travel?
Not so much, no. We've become, shall we say, less mobile than we were. And also developed a loathing of flying, which sort of limits you somewhat, because we came here from London by coach, which we had never done before, but it takes an awful long time. But very interesting situation. So I drive, I do a lot of driving. When I'm doing my one-man show in England.
Still do some acting?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I get up and I tell stories, and obviously about the show, and the books, and we take the books with us, and I tell stories from my earlier life, which people seem to find interesting. So they keep asking me to do it again. But I like to communicate with an audience. I always have, ever since I was a kid. I was in all school plays.
Like you did today with our students.
Yeah. Well, I hope they seem to enjoy it, didn't they? And I hope it worked well. But no,
It did.
That's an example. Because of the show, you have people are pleased to see you from the beginning, which is very good. You don't have to try very hard because you are who you are. But then, if you can then extend that into their lives as well, then it becomes a personal experience for them. So my show is about 2 hours long. To mention, I use clips from not only from Only Fools and Horses, but also earlier shows that I did, like Doctor Who was one important show for me. I tell stories all around that, and people find it interesting, as well as this word comes up. I don't know. It's. I think it's a compliment. That was very interesting. They say it was amusing, but very interesting. You think, I hope it was interesting in the right way. But the way the business works, how television is made, and I think people find that interesting. It's not something they necessarily know about.
Yeah, I'm sure. And privately, are you as fond of having a good laugh, and do you love humor, even privately, or is it just something that is like your TV persona?
No, I've always loved comedy, and I grew up with. You probably haven't heard of the Goon Show, Spike Milligan, an absurdist sort of. But that's
I'm of the younger generation.
No,
I apologize.
Far too young, yes.
Yeah,
I did.
But he broke the mold for me. He opened the door. That crazy stuff. And French comedy actor called Jacques Tati. Oh, my hero, Monsieur Hulot. That character.
Yes.
I just love that character. Well, he was so sympathetic, but everywhere he went was disaster.
Yeah, that's.
But he was so well-meaning, wasn't he? And things would fall off.
Everything was going in the opposite way of what was he planning
Yes.
to.
Yes. No. So I grew up, and my father was a very humorous man, and he loved American humor. He loved the Marx Brothers, James Thurber. So I would watch the Marx Brothers with him, and they were crazy, and we'd laugh a lot together. And he loved the Goon Show too, and we always had that in common. So it was always within me through him, I think. And when we came to the profession, as I say, I played an awful lot of parts, sort of comedy parts and very serious parts as well. But I always preferred the comedy because I love the sound of laughter. I love people smiling and laughing, And
but many actors, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but many actors say that doing comedy is actually a lot more difficult because it's hard to make people laugh, although it seems like it's super easy, but it's not, right?
No, I think it's got to be in you. You've got to have what we call funny bones. And I think it's within me. In some very good actors, there is no humour, but they are terrific at really dramatic roles and so on. But someone with funny bones, it's there. It's just there the whole time. And I suppose it's a way of looking at life. I don't know. It's always seemed absolutely absurd to me, really, most of life. Very difficult sometimes, but you've always got to find the humour in it. So I've always tried. It's a sort of protective thing, I think. If I can laugh at it, then it's not too bad. Yeah, and I think it's a lot of what the show's about too. Otherwise, I'm a bit of a worrier. I'm a worrier, so I worry about things. I worry not only about myself, but about the world situation. I mean, everything everybody worries about. I'm concerned about it. And if you let it go on top of you, then you can't live your life properly. So I tend to always veer to try and find the humour.
Nicely put.
But of course, I am cursed with this dark face. My eyebrows do that. So my mother was always saying to me, "Stop frowning." She was right.
You were.
It was a natural. Frowning is. I see pictures of myself as a kid, and that's what it looks like. But you see, interestingly, my mother, who really didn't have a sense of humour, bless her, she said, "I always thought you would make your name in drama, not in comedy." And I remember my father and I, as I say with the Goon Show, falling about together, and my mother walking past and going, She didn't get it. She just she had lots of other qualities, but humour wasn't the main one. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it could have gone the other way, I suppose, but I have a very mobile face and not great for television. You know, if I'm supposed to have a still face and do everything through the eyes, you know, and I do everything through the eyes, but everything else as well. My nose, my mouth, my ears, everything moves. The eyebrows go up and down. Very good for the stage.
Okay, so a last question has nothing to do with your career, but we always ask this. What are you reading at the moment, if you're reading anything at the moment? Mm-hmm. And do you prefer ebooks or paperback? What is your thing? Your cup of tea?
Oh well, definitely proper books. I love the feel of books. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like picking up a new book, you know. And I also think the decorative items can be, you know, in the right order, in the right library, if you've got that space. In terms of what I'm reading now, I'm one of these people who I can't concentrate very well for more than about 5 minutes on things. So I've got about 11 half-finished books dotted around the house.
Waiting for you.
Waiting for me to finish them. But what have I just finished? His name is Hamish Amlar, and he was born in Egypt, and then he finished up in Libya. And his father was a bit of a freedom fighter, so he was a freedom fighter, and he got arrested and imprisoned and disappeared. And the son had left, Hamish Amlar, and lived in England and so on, and come back to try and find what happened to his father. And his account of that is heartbreaking, really, you know, because he never found him, and he still doesn't know what happened. He thinks he knows, but that man's travelled. So that's a bit of a sad one, really. But I've got a John Grisham book. I like John Grisham's books, and I'm halfway through that. I'm halfway through a biography of a big cricket hero of mine called Tom Graveney, and you know, that's what I mean. So, you know, I've got to be in a certain mood and say, now I'll start to finish this. Right, and I put the bookmark in and put it down. And there's all these books with bookmarks in all over them.
That's nice. All right, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing all this.
That's all, pleasure.
With us.